The United States has struck Iran. Israel has bombed Iranian nuclear facilities. And Iran has retaliated with ballistic missile attacks across the Gulf region. This is not a hypothetical scenario. This is happening right now in 2026. India imports 85% of its crude oil from regions this conflict threatens. 9 million Indians work in Gulf countries and send home nearly $40 billion every year. Today I will explain exactly what this war means for India, for the price of petrol at your local pump, and for the Indian rupee. Welcome. Today we do a structured data-driven analysis of the 2026 US-Israel-Iran conflict and its cascading economic impact on India. We will cover what happened, India's oil dependency, oil price impacts, the rupee under pressure, the Strait of Hormuz scenario, India's response, and key takeaways. Let us begin. The 2026 conflict has been building for years. The core issue is Iran's nuclear program. Iran had been enriching uranium to levels both Israel and the United States considered an existential threat. Multiple diplomatic rounds failed. Iran continued enriching. In early 2026, intelligence indicated Iran was weeks from a nuclear weapon. Israel and the US launched coordinated airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities at Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan. Iran responded with over 200 ballistic missiles at US bases in Qatar, Bahrain, and UAE. The Houthis resumed Red Sea attacks. Hezbollah fired rockets into northern Israel. The conflict now spans multiple theaters and is not contained. India is the world's third largest crude oil consumer. India consumes roughly 5 million barrels per day but produces only 600,000 to 700,000 barrels domestically. The remaining 85% must be imported. The Gulf region accounts for 55 to 60% of India's imports historically. India has diversified with Russian crude which reached 40% of imports by 2025. But 40 to 50% still comes from the Gulf, the region now at war. India's crude import bill last year was $108 billion, India's single largest import. When oil prices rise, this number escalates with cascading consequences. Before the conflict, Brent crude was at $75 to $80 per barrel. It has now spiked above $95. Major banks project $110 to $120 if conflict continues. Every $10 increase costs India approximately $17 billion extra per year. If crude averages $100 this financial year, India's oil bill jumps from $108 billion to $135 to $140 billion. That is $27 to $32 billion extra dollars leaving India annually just for oil, creating massive pressure on India's current account deficit. The Indian rupee faces three simultaneous pressures. First, India needs more dollars for costlier oil, weakening the rupee. Second, global risk-off behavior causes foreign investors to sell Indian assets and move to safe havens, weakening the rupee further. Third, higher oil prices cause inflation which reduces Indian asset attractiveness. The rupee was already above 87 per dollar. Analysts project 89 to 91 per dollar under sustained high oil prices. Every rupee of depreciation makes all imported goods costlier for every Indian consumer. The Strait of Hormuz is India's most critical vulnerability. This narrow channel between Iran and Oman, only 33 kilometers wide, carries 20 to 21 million barrels of crude oil daily, roughly 20% of global supply. Iran controls the northern shore and has threatened to close it if attacked. Now Iran has been attacked. If the strait closes even for weeks, crude could reach $150 to $200 per barrel. India's strategic reserves are only 5 million metric tons, enough for 9 to 10 days. The IEA recommends 90 days. India has 10. This gap is a genuine national vulnerability. India's response maintains its strategic autonomy doctrine. Prime Minister Modi has spoken with leaders of the US, Israel, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and UAE calling for restraint and dialogue while not taking sides. India abstained on UN resolutions. Economically, the RBI is selling dollars to support the rupee. The government is working with oil companies on supply management. India is expanding Russian crude contracts. And India's renewable energy push has gained fresh urgency. Key takeaways. The conflict poses serious but manageable risks if it does not escalate. The three critical risks: elevated oil prices increasing India's import bill by $27 to $32 billion annually, rupee depreciation toward 89 to 91 per dollar, and the tail risk of Strait of Hormuz closure pushing crude to $150 to $200 per barrel. For UPSC aspirants, India imports 85% of its oil, the Gulf accounts for 40 to 50%, every $10 rise costs India $17 billion more annually. India has only 9 to 10 days of strategic reserves against the recommended 90 days. Please like and share if helpful. Subscribe for daily current affairs. Thank you.